Good morning, everyone. My name is Héctor Omi Martinez Rosado, Procurement Division Director for the Community Development Block Grant, Disaster Recovery and Mitigation Programs. In this pre-proposal meeting, we are going to discuss the request for proposals number CDBG-DR-RFP-2026-01 for the Program Management Services for City Rehabilitation Program under the Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery. Now I would like to introduce the Puerto Rico Department of Housing personnel. Along with me this morning is Gustavo Pierre, Procurement Official, Caredi Vargas, Technical Specialist, Marisabel Rodriguez Toledo from the City Revitalization Program, and Erika Caban from the Federal Compliance Division. Any questions submitted in this meeting will be answered in writing and published on an addendum. Any information provided on this meeting does not change the terms and conditions established in the request for proposals instructions. This meeting is being recorded and made available on the CDBG-DR YouTube channel. Regarding the procurement manual and contractual requirements, all procurement process shall be conducted in accordance with the terms and conditions established in the procurement manual for the CDBG-DR, CDBG MIT, and CDBG state programs to guarantee full and open competition and fair treatment for all persons or entities involved in each procurement process. The procurement manual is available on the CDBG-DR website, incorporated by reference, and made an integral part of this request for proposal. Now, we have a presentation from Miguel Gonzalez from the City Revitalization Program and Marisabel Rodriguez Toledo from the City Revitalization Program. Thank you.
Good morning to all. Good morning. This is Marisabel Rodriguez. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We shall be speaking briefly about the scope of services for this particular RFP, so that you are aware of the details involving it. The City Revitalization Program has been operating since 2020. At the moment, at the inception of the program, rather, we had a total of 300 projects. At this point, the program has 250 projects which are in active stages. That is, we have projects under construction, we have projects ready to go into the bid process, and we have projects finishing design advancements as well. Today, we will be requesting the work in order to finish those projects and to be able to complete the project management work required for them. So therefore, the program will require work in advanced stages of the program. We will require support in the continuity of these services for the CRP portfolio implementation. Therefore, we will require technical, administrative, and compliance capacity aligned to those current needs in order to be able to expedite and complete the processes of the 250 projects. As part of the services, the company will need to be able to monitor and manage the project's progress, their risks, and their performance as well. And as part of these services, you will need to support the requirements for federal and local compliance. The Scope of services is structured on a task-based functional areas, undefined deliverables, on recurrent and as needed services, and also as fixed price deliverables and hourly services for these projects. That being said, the projects and the services will require at times to respond to a situation, and therefore you will be needed to provide as needed services. In this slide, we present the types of positions that the program allows at this time. That is not to say that the staff is circumscribed strictly to these, but you will encounter in the bids documents the description for the functional areas that these staff need to cover. Therefore, as part of those tasks, you will need to be able to respond to the functions of each and every one of those functions as listed here. In the scope of work, you will find attachment 1, which will describe the scope of services and the scope of those staff functions as well. In terms of the structure of the scope of services, as mentioned earlier, they are organized according to tasks. So the first task, task A, responds to supervision and administration of programmatic areas, governance meetings, consolidated reporting will need to be provided to the program, and administrative oversight will need to be performed by the key personnel. Task B relates to pre-construction support by way of reviewing design readiness, procurement packages validation, permitting and endorsement review and tracking, environmental review record alignment checks, readiness recommendations prior to the authorization for the use of grant funds and construction bid, and pre-construction coordination as well. The third task, task C, includes the genre of environmental review, SHPO coordination, and statutory compliance. It will require the tracking of the environmental review record, statutory consultations, reevaluation support if needed and when needed, environmental readiness for the authorization of use of grant funds, when authorized per applicable scenario, and the preparation of administrative environmental review record and SHPO documentation as well. Task D centers around URA acquisitions and relocalization of persons or businesses being relocalized. As such, you will be required to provide URA tracking, notice of sequencing verification, compliance monitoring of the ADP, and when applicable per the varying scenarios you will encounter. You will need to be able to prepare the administrative documentation packages for those transactions, for acquisitions, or for displacement cases. Task E is involves the area of construction per se, so you will be required to monitor the construction site, monitor the schedules, analyze the schedules for the projects, maintain tracking of change orders, be active in that process as well, verify compliance, provide photographic documentation, provide risk analysis of time, cost, and coordinate with the subrecipients and the contractors as well. Task F involves the financial management and documentation report required of those. So as such, you will be required to revise the reimbursement packages submitted by the subrecipients, validate the financial documentation, reconcile monthly and quarterly financials, and identify the compliance or documentation risks are being submitted. Task G entails work in the project closeout and compliance phase. So as such, you will need to provide services aligned with the compilation and validation of closeout packages, verify the required documentation, validate the readiness of that documentation being provided to PRDOH prior to PRDOH's approval or acceptance, and also verify compliance documentation. Task H refers to being able to validate for the CRP portfolio the databases, reconcile that data, KPI monitoring, update the CRP dashboard, and prepare concise executive briefing notes for high-level PRDOH engagements, and so forth. Task I entails the work required for a transition between outgoing PM firms and incoming PM firms, the receipt and validation of data sets and materials, the identification of any gap in that information exchange, reestablishment of trackers as needed, and a creation of an operational baseline to commence the work of this RFP. As such, those are the main items on the scope of services for this RFP. The proposers must review attachment 1, scope of services in full. Additional program information can be found in PRDOH's recovery website. The questions must be submitted through PRDOH's official procurement platform, Agiloft. Thank you so much for your attendance this morning.
Thank you, Maribel. Good morning. My name is Karedi Vargas, and I will explain where to acquire the RFP documents and what are the important dates regarding this RFP. The RFP documents are available for download on our Agilo platform, which can also be accessed through our CDBG website as presented on screen. To access the platform, you must complete the registration. Then you must go to the procurement process section. There you will find the list of available processes. You must select Program Management Services for CRP. You may click View. Click on I am interested. Then click on Procurement Documents to view the list of required documents. Important dates for this RFP are the following. Please submit questions and requests for clarification on or before February 3, 2026 at 5 p.m. Response to questions and requests for clarification will be published on February 10, 2026. Proposal due date from March 9, 2026 at 9 a.m. up to March 11, 2026 at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Caredi. Good morning. My name is Gustavo Pierre, and I will explain how to submit inquiries and proposals for this RFP. Submissions of inquiries and addenda. Each potential proposer must submit all questions in writing on or before February 3, 2026 at 5 p.m. through the Agilov platform in the question submission section. When the period for submitting questions is open, in accordance with the scheduled dates, the tab displayed on the screen will be enabled to submit questions. You must first enter your question in the designated field. Second, specify the section of the procurement package and the page number of the RFP to which your question refers. Click the Submit button. Once submitted, your questions will appear in the table titled My Questions, along with the date and time it was submitted. After the deadline for submitting questions has passed, the three fields on the bottom mentioned above will no longer be visible. However, all submitted questions will remain visible in My Questions table. Responses will be published through an addendum to the procurement process and will be included in the Procurement Documents tab. All documents related to this process, including addenda issued by the Department of Housing, are and will remain available for download on the Agilov platform. All respondents must review the aforementioned website to download any addenda issued for this procurement process, if applicable. Proposal electronic submission. Proposals must be submitted by the deadline indicated in Section 4.3 of this RFP. Proposals submitted after the established deadline will not be accepted. Responses to the RFP will be accepted only by electronic means. Proposers are advised that the Department of Housing will accept proposals submitted electronically only. Once the registration process has been completed through the Agilov platform, the proposer will be granted access to submit its proposal electronically as discussed. Access for proposal submission began with the publication of the procurement process and will remain available until the scheduled closing date and time. Before submitting your proposal, you must complete all required fields and upload all required documents. Once uploaded, the documents may be viewed at the bottom of the page. It is important to note that for your proposal to be considered, you must click the Submit button after uploading all required documents. Evaluation criteria. The evaluation committee will evaluate based on the criteria outlined on the screen. The criteria below are listed in order of importance. Technical proposal evaluations. The critical criteria were the qualification and experience of the proposer to successfully perform the services required in this RFP, as evidenced by the successful implementation of relevant services of similar scope and complexity, preferably in large complex public organizations like the state government and federal entities. Quality of the proposed approach and its relevance to the services described in this RFP included implementation schedule and understanding of the PRDOH goals. The important criteria were the professional qualification and specialized experience of the proposed key staff as evidenced by relevant experience to the role proposed. The company capacity as evidenced by the information provided in the cover letter, executive summary, organizational chart, among others. Evaluation will consider the proposer's stability, relevant experience, and internal capacity to support and manage the services required under this RFP. Capacity of the key staff personnel and the ability to commit adequate time to effectively perform the services in the role assigned within the required time frame. Pass or fail. Financial stability of the proposer and its capacity to effectively perform the services. Capacity of the entity to effectively provide the services required in this RFP. The preference. Level, quality, and relevancy of participation by Section 3 business concern and minority women veteran business enterprise, also known as MWVBE. The price proposal evaluation. Price proposal will be evaluated according to the reasonableness of overall price, allocation of effort, and overall value offered. The SAM registration. Proposers and first-year subcontractors must be registered in the System for Award Management, also known as SAM, at the time of the proposal submission or initiate the registration process right after the proposal submission. For more information, please visit the SAM website. There's no fee to create, renew, or update your registrations. Awards will be only issued to entities that are clear and not ineligible for award of a contract due to suspension, debarment, or HOT imposed limited denial of participations. Now, we will leave you with Erika Caban Morales from the Federal Compliance Division, who will explain the federal compliance requirements.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on behalf of the Federal Compliance and Service Recipient Management Team from PRDOH. We will present on the federal civil rights compliance. Today's agenda includes an overview of compliance roles and responsibilities, a review of the tools available on our website, and a discussion on documenting efforts and reporting requirements. The procurement package includes language that provides preference to proponents certified as Section 3 businesses or as minority or women-owned businesses. Please remember to consult the reference and templates available. Proponents seeking to obtain preference must submit their self-certifications along with evidence demonstrating how they qualify as a Section 3 business. The Puerto Rico Department of Housing provides a template on its website. Proponents seeking MWBE preference must submit a copy of their certification and demonstrate their status. Submitted certificates must include the issuance and expiration dates and must indicate that they are currently active. The work to be performed under the contract resulting from this RFP may be subject to the requirements of Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. As amended, Section 3 is intended to foster local economic development, strengthen neighborhood economies, and support individual self-efficiency. It is the policy of PRDOH to require its recipient contractors and subcontractors and the subcontractors of recipients to provide to the greatest extent feasible training and equal employment opportunities to low and very low income individuals, particularly to recipients of government housing assistance and residents of the communities where federal funds are expended. PRDOH provides a Section 3 policy guide on its website in both English and Spanish. Contractors are required to review the guide and implements the applicable activities as necessary. In addition, contractors are responsible for ensuring that their subcontractors comply with the policy and that established benchmarks are met. For Section 3 projects, 24 CFR 75 establishes the following benchmarks. 25% of the total labor hours on the project should be performed by Section 3 workers. 5% of the total labor hours should be performed by targeted Section 3 workers. Section 3 worker or targeted worker self-certification form. These document templates help individuals identify if they meet the requirements to be considered as Section 3 workers or targeted workers. Contractors and service recipients must make efforts to complete certification forms as part of their contracting and purchasing procedures, thereby fulfilling their Section 3 business identification commitment. Businesses identified as Section 3 will be included in the database used to disseminate contracting and purchasing opportunities. The work to be performed under the contract resulting from this RFP shall be subject to the regulations set forth the CFR 200.321. This regulation requires the non-federal entity to take necessary steps to ensure that, when possible, all recipients, contractors, subcontractors, and/or developers funded with CDBG-DR or CDBG mitigation funds hire or provide economic opportunities to small and minority firms, women-owned businesses, enterprise, and labor surplus area firms. Consistent with Executive Orders number 11625, 12138, and 12432, non-federal entities shall make every feasible effort to ensure that small businesses, minority or women-owned business enterprises, and labor surplus areas businesses participating in contracting. PRDOH provides an MWBE policy guide on its website in both English and Spanish. Contractors are required to review the guide and implement the applicable activities as necessary. In addition, contractors are responsible for ensuring that their subcontractors comply with the regulations and that establishment benchmarks are met. The MWBE policy guide will identify that there are goals which apply to professional services, purchasing supplies, and construction contracting. There is a total minimum participation goal, which are 10% for women-owned business and 10% for minority-owned businesses. Contractors are expected to perform good faith efforts for contracting, subcontracting, and purchasing opportunities of $10,000 or more during the life of the contract. The MWBE Utilization Plan, this tool assists in compiling data for subcontracting purposes. It helps you identify potential needs. It supports discussions on creating supplier and contracting listings while also building awareness of contract goals and utilization tracking. The plan template is available on our website and can be completed in either English or Spanish. For the definitions of MWBE, for minority business enterprises, MBE is defined as a business that is 51% or more owned, operated, and controlled on a daily basis by one or more U.S. citizens of ethnic minority and or gender, and or military classification and or veterans. For WBE is defined as a business that is at least 51% owned and controlled by one or more women, must be U.S. citizens or legal resident aliens, whose business formation and principal place of business are in the U.S. or its territories, and whose management and daily operations are controlled by women. When we talk about certified minority or women-owned business, we are referring to those who have filed applications with federal entities such as SBA and others that you see here on the slide. Businesses who are certified can provide proof of completing an application process to be officially recognized as a certified minority or women-owned business. If you are registered as an MWBE, you should provide your valid certificate or other evidence in the response of this RFP. As part of its obligations to PRDOH, the contractor or recipient must conduct compliance efforts during the term of the agreement or contract, which are reported using the quarterly report and the template to document efforts. Each organization is responsible for maintaining and preserving documents in accordance with its policy on document management, administration, and accessibility. The template to document efforts, the objective of this document is to facilitate the compilation of all arrangements and procedures related to Section 3 and MWBE as applicable. These efforts are carried out by subrecipients and contractors each quarter. PRDOH has established a quarterly report available on the website for subrecipients and contractors to download, complete, and submit. This form serves as the official method for reporting quarterly compliance activities and efforts related to Section 3, MWBE, and FHEO regulations. All subrecipients and contractors are expected to maintain a system for collecting up-to-date information to complete this report accurately. PRDOH's quarterly reports captures Section 3 data for 24 CFR 135, 24 CFR 75, and efforts performed, MWBE data for contracting MBEs, contracting WBEs, and efforts performed, and FHEO data for limited English proficiency and compliance with Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. PRDOH requires quarterly reports from all contractors to be submitted on April 5th, July 5th, October 5th, and January 5th. Regarding FHEO, your RFP package also includes a model contract which outlines the areas of compliance related to fair housing and equal opportunity. Contractors are responsible for ensuring compliance with federal civil rights and fair housing requirements throughout their own operations as well as those to their subcontractors and partners, making certain that all necessary efforts are being implemented. The Fair Housing Act and Sections 109 and 504 prohibit discrimination against protected classes. The Fair Housing Act is a key component of federal civil rights law enacted to prevent discrimination in housing. A variety of executive orders, laws, and statutes govern non-discrimination against protected classes, ensuring equal opportunity for individuals and accessing federal funded programs. Equal opportunities for protected classes is upheld through these federal laws and executive orders. PRDOH has published policy documents addressing FHEO, as well as language access plan for all CDBG-DR and mitigation programs, and has made it available in both Spanish and English. These policies must be implemented by contractors and subrecipients. As the recipients of HUD financial assistance, PRDOH must ensure that all programs affirmatively further access to fair housing and that the programs provide equal opportunity for participation and employment. Fair housing, equal opportunity, reasonable accommodations are adjustments to a program policy, practice, or service that afford individuals with disabilities equal access to the program's benefits. Section 504 requires federally funded programs provide requested RAs or Ms at the cost of the program to the extent that they are reasonable and address a verified disability-related need. Contractors that have 50 employees or more are required to have a 504 coordinator. The CDBG-DR and CDBG mitigation reasonable accommodation policy provides requirements and guidance for evaluating these requests. PRDOH supports programs in the handling and evaluations of these requests. For limited English proficiency, or LEP, refers to persons' limited ability to read, write, speak, or understand English. Due to Puerto Rico's high Spanish-speaking population, all entities and contractors using CDBG-DR and CDBG mitigation funds must seek to ensure both that a person's limited ability to read, write, speak, or understand English or Spanish will not place them at a disadvantage in the participation of programs. That's all for our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the PRDOH team and everyone for participating in this pre-proposal meeting. We appreciate your time. If you have any questions or inquiries, please submit them through the Agila platform as seen before. Additionally, submit your proposals through the Agila platform. We wish you a great day. Thank you.